Hi, thank you so much for joining us for this session. My name's Kat, I work for the Schools Liaison team at City University of London, and today I'm going to be taking you through what happens if you either haven't applied to university yet, the January deadline has passed, you think that your options are over. Well, I'm here to tell you they're not. There are still options for you to apply to university. But also I wanted to address what happens if you have already applied to university, but you've changed your mind, whether that's because you want to or you have to, you have decided to go for a different course or a different university, and you think that maybe you won't be able to go to university this year. The good news is, in the main, that's not true. And I'm going to take you through these different scenarios today so you can work out how you can still start university. So let's first talk about the scenario for those of you that haven't paid and sent an application to UCAS and you want to know whether you can still apply to university. So the answer is yes. If you have a UCAS account, you can log into it, finish it from where you didn't finish it before, and then pay and send it to UCAS. If you haven't got one at all, just make one now and then pay and send the application. You can still select 5 choices. And the only difference is that the January deadline is what's called the equal consideration deadline. That means that universities guarantee to look at your application fairly within that window without places being full. If you apply after the deadline, if the course is open, obviously the universities would still love to hear from you. They've still got places to fill, but they don't have to guarantee it. If a course is shut, they don't have to look at your application, and a course could shut between you submitting the application and them reading it. So that is just the main difference. We would really recommend that before you apply to anybody in this kind of post equal consideration deadline window, that you do speak to the universities just to double check whether they are still accepting applications, because they might still look like they are on UCAS or on their own websites, but they might not be. So really important just to check. And remember, you will still need a good personal statement and a reference. So make sure that you speak to your school or college for help if you need it. So the good question to then ask here is, well, what happens? I do decide to fill out my application form. What happens next? So once you pay and send it to UCAS, they will then send it on to whichever choices you put on your UCAS form. The universities will then have a look at your application, and the amount of time it takes for them to reply will vary. That's exactly the same as if you applied by the January deadline as well. Obviously, there may be some universities that will have to reject you because they don't have places available anymore, or some might reject you because you don't meet the entry requirements. But obviously, hopefully, you will find some universities with places available that you would be a good match for. It might be that the universities will get in touch with you and ask for more information. For example, they might ask you for an additional essay or supplementary piece of work. You might need to attend an interview or audition or complete an additional test. So do make sure you keep an eye on your email so that you can respond as quickly as possible, because remember, these places are filling up. You are after the equal consideration deadline, so the sooner you can get this sorted, the better. So for those of you that do already have a UCAS application, but maybe you're not holding any offers with any universities, or you're holding offers that you don't want anymore, we get a lot of questions about, well, what happens? Are my options over? The really great news is they're not. So UCAS has a service called UCAS Extra, which is specifically designed for students who need to look at other universities or courses in the window between when they applied and when clearing starts in July. So you can either be automatically eligible for Extra because you do not hold any live offers. That might be because you've been rejected or you have withdrawn or declined from universities on your UCAS account. You have no live offers. Or you can put yourself into UCAS Extra by doing that. So if you do have some offers, as long as you haven't accepted them yet, you can decline or withdraw from those university choices to put yourself into Extra. Extra works a little bit differently to the normal UCAS application, because remember, on the normal UCAS form, you have up to 5 choices. UCAS Extra, you can add 1 additional university at a time, and each university will consider you. Then they will decide whether or not they can offer you a place or not. If they do, you can choose to accept it. You could then choose to decline it and try for another university, but I would recommend that with Extra, you look at universities in the order you would like to go for them, because obviously the hope is you'll get the offer that you want, accept it, and then won't have to keep using the service. If the university doesn't accept you, you will then go back to UCAS Extra and keep adding additional universities until you get an offer that you want to accept. This service is free as long as you've paid for the 2, 3, 4, or 5 UCAS choices option when you paid and sent your application. This is open until basically the beginning of July, because clearing opens on the 5th of July. So this service is in operation until clearing takes over. So UCAS Extra isn't really used by very many students, but clearing definitely is. In 2023, over 38,000 students secured a place at university through clearing. So if you do use clearing, please rest assured that you are not the only person. It is not looked down upon when you enroll at university or anything like that. It's a really great way to secure an alternative university offer. Clearing opens at the beginning of July, but it is open to you once you receive your results. So there are some qualifications, such as the International Baccalaureate, that has a results date in July. So those students can start using clearing once they have their results. But most clearing activity happens around A-level results day in August, because that's when the majority of students get their results. The really important thing to remember is you cannot use clearing until you have your actual grades, whereas UCAS Extra is an additional university choice, one at a time, usually giving you a conditional offer pending on your grades. Clearing doesn't work that way. You have to already have your results. So I mentioned that over 38,000 students secured a place in clearing. So this cannot just be students who didn't get the grades they were hoping for, which is traditionally what people think clearing is for. And yes, if you don't get the grades you're hoping for and you get rejected by the universities that you were holding offers at, you can then use clearing to look for an alternative offer. However, so can lots of other students. Let's say you did better than you expected. You really didn't think you were going to get such good grades, so you didn't apply to universities that had better entry requirements than the ones you applied for. You can try and get into a university asking for higher grades through clearing. It might also be that you've just changed your mind. You might no longer want to do the course that you've chosen. You might no longer want the universities you've selected. Maybe you were planning to move away, but actually you've realized you want to stay at home, so you need to switch universities for that reason. Loads of reasons why people might change their mind. And also, you may have never filled in a UCAS application form at all. Then you get to results day, you did, as better than you hoped maybe for your qualifications, and think, maybe I can go to university now. How do I do that? You can make the applications direct into clearing. Lots and lots of students use it. It's a great way to secure a new university place. Something that is really important to understand is that clearing works differently to the way you apply to university in the main cycle. So universities will list vacancies that they have in clearing, usually on their websites, but you might be able to find them on other websites as well, such as UCAS and Unifrog if your school is partnered with Unifrog. If you want to be considered by a university in clearing, you need to contact them first before you add anything onto UCAS. You need to speak to the university to see whether they will consider your application. Universities will speak to you in different ways. A lot of them have what's known as a clearing hotline number or a phone number that you can call to give your details and for them to look at your results compared to their clearing entry requirements and see if you'd be a good match. Some universities will have some kind of online chat instead of a phone, and then some, like City, will use a web form or an automated process. So always just check the university websites. You can what we call shop around in clearing. So let's say that you got BBB and you're kind of happy with the university that you were holding an offer at, but you would just like to see whether any other universities would take you in clearing. You can contact other universities without getting rid of your existing top choice university offer. Shop around, see if they would accept you. And if you get an offer from somewhere you think I would prefer that one to the current uni I'm holding a place at, you can use their system on UCAS to swap to the new one. So it's a good way to just test things out, see if you can get into any other universities without losing the one that you are committed to. So I mentioned that there are some students who will use clearing when they haven't had a UCAS application form at all until this point. And as I say, that's absolutely fine. My best recommendation for you would be to have a UCAS account created beforehand, if possible, even if you haven't paid and sent for it yet, but have a personal statement ready, have your school or college provide your reference, because when you then submit your application, everything will be done. You will have a UCAS personal ID number and everything will be easier for the universities because they can then match you on UCAS with their internal systems. It makes everything easier. So that is my best recommendation. If you wait until results day, it will be a lot of stress for you to write a personal statement quickly. Some universities might allow you not to write one. They might allow you to apply without a reference, but you cannot guarantee it. So the best thing you can do is prepare early if you think you might be using a clearing application. Some universities might let you bypass UCAS completely, which is something called direct entry or direct applications. And usually they ask you to fill out a form, which is often called a record of prior acceptance or an RPA, which has information that's similar to the UCAS application. However, some of them won't have this and they will ask you to go through UCAS. So really the easiest thing you can do is have a UCAS application ready to make your clearing applications. So I've mentioned that clearing works differently to the main UCAS cycle. So just a reminder that you will need to contact universities first before adding anything on UCAS to see whether they will give you an offer. When you speak to universities, if they can give you an offer, this is what's known as a verbal offer. So obviously a lot of the time you get given it on the phone, but for example at City you'll get given it usually through our web form. And so even though nobody has spoken to you, it's still classed as a verbal offer. You can get as many verbal offers as you want in clearing, and obviously that might be a nice position if you have lots of choice. That can be overwhelming, so don't feel you have to collect as many clearing applications as you can. But you will only be able to add one of those into UCAS. The way that UCAS will work is usually on results day. If you're using clearing earlier than results day, you'll probably be able to do this quicker. But as I say, most clearing activity happens on A-level results day. UCAS will actually freeze for a week before A-level results day while universities are sorting some things out for clearing in the background. And then it will unfreeze at 1 p.m. on that day. And this is when, if you want to, you can add in a new clearing offer. So if you're already in clearing, you're not holding a place somewhere else, or you've withdrawn from universities already, so you are eligible for clearing, a button will appear on your UCAS hub that says add a clearing choice, and then you can add in the new university's details. But remember, on A-level results day, this won't show until 1 p.m. So even if you get a verbal offer at 8 a.m, you just have to wait until 1 and then you can add it into UCAS. For those of you that are shopping around and trying to see if you can get into a different university while holding a place at another university, you're not automatically going to see that add a clearing choice button because UCAS is assuming that you are holding a place at another university. For you, you will need to use a different button first, which is called Decline My Place. That's where you will decline the university that you're currently holding a place at, and then you will add the clearing offer afterwards. So it's really important that if you are going to use Decline My Place, you've definitely got a verbal offer that you want to accept, and you're really sure that you are then ready to let go of your original university because you can't get it back after you've used Decline My Place. Once you've added the choice into UCAS, UCAS will update to say that they are considering your application. So it will say your university is considering your application. There is nothing else that you can do at this point because what happens is the university has to verify that the information that you gave us on the phone or on the web form or on the online chat is correct. You might have actually got 3 Ds, but you put on the web form or you said on the phone that you got 3 As, and the university offered you a place based on what you told them rather than what you actually got. So we will check, we will be able to see the results you have. And at this point, obviously, if you've lied, a university is not going to be happy and will reject you back into clearing for you to then have to shop around again. So it's really important that you are honest and accurate when you tell universities what results are you got, because they will find out. So it's really, really important that you are truthful and you get a place based on your actual grades. And if you do that, hopefully at this point, everything will be fine. And then UCAS Hub will update and it will turn to unconditional firm. So you will then be holding a place with the new clearing university. So just to touch on clearing at City, as I mentioned, we don't have an initial phone number to call us at City. We have a web form. Our web form is super sophisticated and you can enter all of your details into the web form and usually it can give you a decision really quickly. So if it can already tell that we are able to offer you a place based on the information you've provided, the web form will say, great, here you go, here's your offer. It may know that based on your grades, you're not going to meet the entry requirements for the programme, and so it can also automatically reject you. For some cases, it will basically do what's called refer you. So it's where the web form doesn't know whether or not we can definitely offer you a place yet. And you will then either be given a phone number to call into City to speak to a member of staff for them to discuss your application in more detail and decide whether or not they can offer you a place, or we will ask you to wait while somebody looks into your application and we will get in touch with you to let you know whether or not we're able to proceed with your application. We do have a live chat function that runs all through the Thursday and Friday in the main A-level results day time in August, and we do have lots of other clearing events that you can join throughout the summer as well. So do feel free to contact us if you have any questions. My team and other colleagues at City are here to help you. If there is anything that you're confused about or not sure about, please make sure you get in touch. I've mentioned that some students will want to use clearing because they want to change their mind, and often it is fine to change your mind in clearing. So, you might have originally applied for nursing but want to apply for business now, for example. I would recommend, if you're thinking about changing your mind, that you do draft a new personal statement ahead of clearing. You're not going to have time on the morning of results day to write one, and you will never be able to guarantee whether or not a university needs to see a new personal statement from you. At City, we usually don't. For our health courses, you'll have an interview and that would replace a new personal statement being needed. But obviously, I can only speak for City. I can't speak for other universities. So I would recommend preparing a personal statement. Even if they don't need to read the new personal statement, if you're speaking to somebody on the phone, they'll be able to see your original UCAS application and they can see that you're changing your mind and they might want to know why. So going through the process of writing the personal statement is really useful because you are prepared to answer that question. If you want to change courses but you're not planning to change universities, you would like to switch at the same uni but to a different course, I would really recommend you get in touch with the university first before trying to go through clearing. Again, I can only speak for City here, but we can swap you internally to the new course you're interested in if there's places available and you meet the entry requirements, rather than you needing to decline us and re-add us through clearing. Like, that's just kind of a waste when it's at the same university. So do have a chat with the universities to see whether there is any possibility for you to switch.
I'm not going to talk too much about student finance today because we could do a whole separate session on that, but a few important things to note. So student finance applications for this September are open now, and on-time applications close on Friday the 17th of May 2024. If you haven't applied yet, please apply as soon as possible, even if you're watching this after you think that the applications have shut. They are still open, they are just late applications, and Student Finance England can't guarantee that they will be able to assess your application in time for when you start university. Obviously, that's very stressful, but the earlier you apply, the more chance you have of that happening. You can put whichever university you think will be your top choice for now, and you can swap that even if your university changes. As long as your original application form was in on time with a university on it, your application will always have been considered on time, even if the university changes. So really important to just make sure you update it. Also, even if you think you might be going to uni, but you're not 100% sure, it's a really good idea to fill in the application form anyway, and it's quite easy to cancel it. So apply for finance if you think you might need it, and then just change it or cancel it if you don't. And remember that as soon as your place changes within clearing or UCAS Extra, etc., make sure to update your finance application so that student finance can sort everything for you as quickly as possible.
That is it for today's session. I really hope that you found it useful. If you're interested in finding out any more about studying at City, I've included some information on the screen, which you'd be welcome to follow. But otherwise, we wish you all the best with your applications, whether those are post-January applications, UCAS Extra and clearing. We really hope that you find the university place that's right for you.